try to ask me real, incisive questions, rather than just giving me shit that's difficult to rhyme with. Sometimes people do that. All right, question 1 right here.
Well, you were talking about before, that sounds very socialist. The socialism does it fall at least partly into the evolution?
Sure, and the accusation of my presentation of cooperation being socialist, you're not the first to point that out, actually. Several bloggers have come up with that one as well. But you also note that every time I talk about cooperation or altruism, I'm generally talking about bottom-up versions of it, about personal individual choices that we can make that can influence the societies around us. One form of those choices are democratic choices, and there's nothing specifically socialist about democracy. Another form of those choices are economic choices, so we can choose to support some companies and not support other companies, which is nothing, there's nothing socialist about that either. If we choose to support companies that we think are helping our society or the environment versus ones that are degrading it, you know, that's consumerism and capitalism acting for the greater good. And the third one, of course, is mating choices, which also have the potential, but also are not socialist. The socialist component of it would potentially be any advocation of top-down control from governments, and I think I could make a pretty good argument that there's some cases in which that would be defensible, where we don't think that companies or consumers together are able to actually achieve the goals of non-pollution and non-degradation. But didn't actually advocate for that anywhere in the show, except insofar as you're voting for a certain politician who's run on a platform of socializing something, like medicine or like the environmental control or something, could be a vote in defense of socialism. But it's still a bottom-up version because it's democratic. Does that make sense? All right. Question 2.
I think in one of your raps, I'm pretty sure you talked about group selection.
Yes.
And which I know Richard Dawkins
hates the idea.
He hates the idea. So I'm just wondering if that's specifically something you agree with, even though it's considered controversial, sort of the minority view.
This is a very good question. Basically, the way I'm going to answer it is to say there's 2 versions of group selection. There's the old naive version from the first half of this century, and that's the version that says these things evolve for the good of the species. You know, like this lion chooses not to kill his rival because then lions would be worse off overall. And what Dawkins and the sort of revolution of his time, the selfish gene revolution, showed is that nothing evolves for the good of the species, ever. But whether things can evolve for the good of the species or not, it doesn't really negate all of group selection. So there's this new version which they call multi-level selection theory. And this puts forward the idea that groups, however small, even just pairs or groups of 3 or groups of 4, or whatever size of group, could sometimes all survive or all die together based on the degree to which they're able to cooperate. And this is the view that says ant colonies or beehives are being selected at the level of colonies. And the ones that are successful are the ones that throw off the most daughter colonies, not the ones that produce the most individual members, because producing more individual members just gives you a bigger beehive, but it doesn't let bees proliferate through an entire country. So this version of group selection, which is sometimes called group selection, but more generally now multi-level selection theory, is what I was portraying in the show. And what I was also trying to do is sort of make fun of the old version, which is the one that says, can we all just get along? And, you know, wouldn't it be great if everything that was nice about nature ended up being true as well, and everything that was mean about nature ended up not being true, and wouldn't that make us feel good? And that version has just got no scientific validity. And that's the version generally Dawkins has argued against. And he also doesn't like multi-selection theory and has argued that there's no selection above the level of the individual, whereas others, I think, have argued quite persuasively that it does happen, although it's just a rare case, but when it happens, it actually ends up having a big influence on what ends up spreading through the environment and what doesn't. So if anyone's interested in that, it's one of the most fascinating debates in biology, and I'm happy to pass you on some links of people making good arguments for both sides. And basically my attitude towards it is the evidence will decide who's right, and it's a theoretical discussion. Thank you for your question. That's a very good question. Final question right here.
Is Mobb Deep or any of the rappers you perform these songs, have they seen your show?
Mobb Deep have not seen the show, as far as I know. If they have, they came incognito and didn't introduce themselves afterwards. I would love it if they would come. Dead Prez as well. I think someone sent a link to one of my songs to a member of Dead Prez, or at least they said they did. So I'd be surprised if they haven't caught wind of it in some sense or another, but no, they haven't come. And I really hope they do, because I hope they would see it as a tribute and an acknowledgement of the degree to which their sort of skills and perspectives have influenced me, even though in both cases I sort of twist the original meaning of their song to mean something new. But on the other hand, that's what those rappers do as well. And you know, 50 Cent makes a record called Get Rich or Die Trying, Dead Prez makes a record called Get Free or Die Trying. And they make a record called I'm African about black nationalism. I'll make one called I'm African about human solidarity. And in both cases, you're sort of taking the original intention and finding an ironic twist on it. And it's a very hip-hop thing to do, and I hope they would recognize that. But I do hope they see it. It would be great. If you know them, please invite them. Thank you guys for your questions. Always fascinating. We got a final piece. Let's drop that shit. So, to close the night out, I just want to try to explain how an evolutionary rap song gets written in the first place. Alright? Early drafts of the lyrics are simple. They go like this. Yo, yo, the origin of species ain't no feces, dog, believe me. What? Well, that's all I can think of. So then I'm like, oh my god, these songs really need to be rewritten. And sometimes people ask me, okay, well, how does the show get written? Like this. Performance, feedback, revision. And how do I generally develop my lyricism? Like this. Performance, feedback, revision. And how do human beings ever learn to do anything? Same way. Performance, feedback, revision. And evolution is really just kind of an algorithm that goes like this. Performance, feedback, revision. So the genes of every living creature were also written exactly the same way. Performance, feedback, revision. See, the genes are like a text, like 100,000 pages. And the revisions occur in the little random changes that come from mutations. And then when they see the light, well, that's the performance. They call that the phenotype. And natural selection, well, that's the feedback side. That's about who survives and whose genes catch rise in the next generation. Yes, what I'm saying is that a rap performance like this is the best illustration for the way that descent with modification works. Because the performance is necessary to change the words, to decide which have an impact and which to send back to the drawing board. In fact, I just did that when you guys failed to react. Because any line can change, and the mutations occur when I improvise on stage. Because up until this moment, everything I said was off the page. But now I'm going to switch it. I'll do a freestyle section. I'll try to keep it really specific so I can beat your cheater detection. Alright, these are improvised rhymes that I'm kicking. This is the way that I come through right now with quick lyricism. You are going to be really good in business. Asking about, that wasn't socialism, is it? That's right. I ain't trying to be acting like I'm scared of you, but only a young kid would say that in America. It's crazy. Socialism's a bad word here. Maybe you guys should go visit Scandinavia. Or maybe not. This is me just blazing hip-hop. Yeah. Rhymes I never thought of. I'm making them up. But wait, this is the way that I check this. Wait, is the anti-socialist the son of the group selection skeptic? Yeah, I bet so. See, these are just rhymes that I'm connecting together. But it's hip-hop, never techno. Yeah, it's the way I spit the dopeness. I still gotta give you credit for your question. It was precocious. Indeed. It's coming up from the bottom. This here is my dedication. When I say bitch and sex and violence and stuff, that's education. Yeah, this is the way that I'm spitting my tongue out. It's been crazy. You guys have been such a young crowd. That's alright though. I still kept the motherfuckers in. Because it kind of helps to get all the knowledge and function in, right? It's the way that I'm spinning it. I'm making these kids happy. As soon as I start cursing, this young guy starts grinning at me. He's like, yeah, that was my favorite part of the show. Yeah, that's the way that I'm sparking it though, when I bring in the rapping blend. I also noticed that you were very enthusiastic about I'm an African. Yeah, that's right. No doubt it's the way that I spit it, kind of like water fountains. And if you meet them, please tell Dead Prez and Mobb Deep about it. But they couldn't even stop me from my evolution mission, because we went to their publishers and got copyright permission. Yeah, that's my concept. That's my system. It goes like this. Performance, feedback, revision. And anybody can use this concept to learn anything. It's kind of simple. It goes performance, feedback, revision. If you want to know about evolution, this here is the definition. So say it with me. Performance, feedback, revision. Memorize it. Performance, feedback, revision. One more time. Performance, feedback, revision. You got it.